Hello and welcome to the latest webinar in our Travel Agent Learning Library. Today we're going to learn more about Country Walkers with our Country Walkers 101 presentation. My name is Glenn Letch. I'm your National Accounts Manager. I'm here to make your business thrive, selling Country Walkers and VBT vacations. One of the great things that I get to do is travel on our tours. This photo here happens to be my last walking tour, which is our Flex Guided Ireland tour. We're part of the Xanterra Travel Collection. We have offices in Vermont, but we have staff located around the world. For myself, I'm located in Southwest Florida. I do travel all over the country and into other parts of the world, so I am available to meet with you and your staff as well as your clients at times. We do have two great brands, as we mentioned, VBT Bicycling Vacations and Country Walkers Walking Vacations. Both of those brands have been around for a long time. So VBT has been around since 1971 and Country Walkers since 1979. Collectively, we offer 119 active immersive itineraries in worldwide destinations. We have only active travel on our roster, so we're not out selling all-inclusives on the beach. We're not selling cruises around the world. We're not selling 45-passenger motor coaches or hotel-only stays. We're only putting together these great active itineraries, and that's what our pure focus will be on as a company. We have a great staff. So we have up in Vermont our tour designers, we have support staff, as well as our logistics managers. Now, some of those folks do work around the world as well. We have a great deal of staff in Europe and other parts of the world as well. So we have some great tour consultants. One of the things we like to do with anybody that joins our sales team is they get to experience our tours. So these are folks that have been out and actively done our walking tours, done our bicycling vacations, and you'll talk to several in the team that have been on both and every which way in destinations around the world. We have some great air agents, so we have our own in-house air department. We don't farm that out to other sources. And we have some customer service folks that will take over all your questions and other needs after you talk to the tour consultants to reserve your clients. So they're there and they again get to head out and experience our tours as well. We have what we're known for and what everybody ranks us really high as our fantastic local guides and leaders. So we call them guides for the purposes of our Country Walkers vacations, and they're leaders on VBT. We're going to start by showing you a short video. This video is available for download. It's available on YouTube. It's available on our web pages for travel agents as well as our standard web pages. As you watch this, I always like to remind people to take a peek. Maybe you'll see a client that's very similar to someone that you've been working with. These are active people. And you'll hear and see what goes on our tour, and hopefully you'll leave this video initially knowing quite a bit about what we do.
The walking is just a pleasure. We want that serenity that comes from when you're walking.
We enjoy active vacations. We're not ones to get in a bus or in a cruise ship. Having someone who's familiar with the area, familiar with the language and the nuances of local custom is very helpful.
They make you feel that you get to know the culture so much better. They give you a feeling of the area.
There's an emotional content to experiencing things with other people. Not only your guides, but with your husband or your friends.
The food was unbelievable. It was just such a surprise to arrive at this place, which we never would have found.
The accommodations are very nice. The hotels that they select are just incredible.
I want to see new things that I can't just find in our backyard.
It was extremely appealing to be able to pick up and go to a place we'd never been to before and have it all planned.
freedom. It was just no stress, no worry. I didn't have to think about it.
I realized after about 3 days out, oh my God, I feel like a person again. I can just put it all behind, get some exercise, get taken care of, and relax.
So as you can see, we have some really nice experiences. We're not always on our feet walking through paths and trails and so forth. We have a lot else that is included in each itinerary. So we have 3 different styles of walking tour. We start with our fully guided. This is what we've really been putting out there and available to guests since 1979. It's a very fairly inclusive product, meaning you're going to have everything included with the exception usually of maybe one dinner and perhaps a dinner and a lunch, depending on the tour. Wine throughout the dinner service, all sorts of other experiences that are going to be, again, on and off the path that are blended in. Really good for someone that wants to take this vacation but necessarily doesn't want to think much else about what to do. They want to plan for them top to bottom, side to side for the week. We move on to our newest style of travel, which is flex guided walking. So what we've done here is we've taken that same great guided experience, but we've freed up a couple of points during the tour week where guests could experience the area on their own. So they'll have a couple of openings with some really good solid suggestions and directions from our guides that they can venture away from the group and make their own experiences for them and their traveling companions. We also have reduced the number of meals that would be as a group. So roughly half the lunches and dinners, and that could vary slightly depending on the itinerary. And then all the breakfasts are always going to be included as a group. So you're also opening up some real independent dining options for people. If I'm in Ireland, which I was last year, and I see a really nice, quaint pub that's maybe doesn't even fit one of our groups, I can venture in there on my own and enjoy the local fare, and of course in Ireland typically music and interesting stories going around you. Then we move over to our self-guided walking vacations. So these are for independent exploration. Everything's going to be put together for the guests and for you. It's going to have hotel choices. It's going to have the transfers of the guest luggage and the guests at times. It's going to have fewer meals. We'll always include that breakfast that we include on all of our tours that we offer. But it's going to have fewer planned meals. Instead, there'll be some great suggestions in a route notebook that will be provided. What's really nice about self-guided vacations is we offer these over a wide range of dates, so they're all done on request. So if a guest can't make a particular set departure date on our group experience, they may find a date that works for them in a self-guided option. So here's a map of where we go. Everything in green is the countries that we cover. So you can see we have quite a bit here in the United States. We go up to Canada. We head down to Chile and Peru. We go all the way over to Africa with some safari options. As far away as New Zealand and Australia. And a great concentration of tours are done in Europe. We like to say we do them top to bottom, side to side. There's pretty much every destination that you'd want to walk and experience in Europe is included in our offerings. So what do you get in a guided vacation? So if we recall back a couple of slides, we have our fully guided and our flex guided. So these components are going to be the same in any of those guided experiences. We're going to have those local guides. So these are experts, they're bilingual. They typically will have lived an extensive period of time, grown up, been educated in the area that your guests will travel to. We pride ourselves on the locality of those. So when you arrive in Ireland, you're going to get our Irish guides. They're not flying in from the United States to show you Ireland, which is not their native land. We then include some great walks. So each day is going to be made up of some wonderful walks. Those can vary. They can be anything from perhaps even a small little town or city tour to venture, out to the countryside. Could be a loop walk. Could be a day with very little walking, but a lot of other experiences around those walks. Typically, we like to average 5 to 7 miles per day on most of our itineraries. We do have ratings on these tours, so we do have some tours that are much heavier as far as the amount of walking, like our Mont Blanc tour, which is really more of a hiking experience. We then move on to our wonderful accommodations. So we focus on small boutique lodgings, so a lot of family-owned, unique settings. I like to say our hotels are very memorable, and that comes from someone that stays in maybe some not so memorable hotels in the course of his regular duties during the year. I mentioned earlier we have some great off-the-path activities. So we head out and we're in an area, we're doing these great walks as a means to get to these other experiences. So it could be cooking classes in Italy, it could be different wine tastings or other food tastings at points in the world. Could be natural sites, could be museums, cathedrals, entertainment type of experiences, so music. What we want the guests to do is to go and use it all to come back with that full experience of being part of the area that they're traveling to, that experienced local part. Then we include some incredible dining. Always the local ingredients and flavors are going to be blended into our meals that are included. As I mentioned, we include breakfast on each day. And then depending on the style, could be up to every other meal just about, or a mix of independent and group meals. So if we look in color at what Country Walkers looks like, we saw it in video, but this is some still shots. You see some wonderful, unique lodging experiences right in the middle. You move over, there's these scenic walks. Of course, we do like to pride ourselves on including those nice wine tastings, and it's a really great way to socialize at the end of the day. We've all done these great walks. We feel good about ourselves, and it's nice to relax with a group and learn a little bit more about the other people that you're traveling with. Of course, you're going to run into some food that is wonderful all the way through, and it's going to really capture the local flavors, and you'll be in some memorable site experiences as well. So typical Country Walkers guided group day, you'll have a group breakfast. This is done usually at a hotel or a local restaurant. And most of the time we'll try to keep it in the hotel unless for some reason there's something going on in the hotel. But it's going to be a fairly hearty breakfast because we want to get everybody well fueled before they head out on the day's activities. Will you follow that up with a morning walk? Now sometimes we'll load up in a vehicle, which could be a van, it could be a mini coach, depending on the group size and the location. And we'll go and do a 2 to 3 mile walk that morning, always with some nice breaks, and it's always done at your own pace. So with 2 guides, we like to, there's always going to be folks that might be a little faster walker. There's folks that maybe aren't slow walkers, but they like to stop and smell the roses and, take some pictures and other activities along the way. So really, there's no pressure to really, speed up or slow down, because we will get together at many points during that walk and discuss different things. The guides will show different point out different elements, and then of course we'll have those off the trail experiences that we're talking about next, which again, very participatory. You're going to get really immersed in the local area. Examples of those, on my most recent tour in Ireland, we visited a local's farmer's home, and he had come the night before, prior to our group dinner, and talked to us and kind of explained growing up in Killarney. And then we went out to his farm. We got a nice tour of how that all worked. And then he was transitioning it to his eldest son. And then we joined him and his wife for some great local scones and some moonshine, which is kind of an interesting combination. But I like to bring that story up because as I'm walking out, two of the guests that had traveled with us before leaned in and they said, you know, this is why we go with your company, because we wouldn't be able to find experiences like this on our own. And we go on, and there's always going to be those breaks that I mentioned. So that could be as simple as a snack stop that we provide, or again, some sort of activity or experience to take a break from walking for a moment. We're going to move on, and we'll have either our group or independent lunch. If it's a group lunch, it could be a picnic lunch. It could be at a local restaurant. Again, it's going to capture the essence of the area that we're traveling to. We then continue on, and we'll have an afternoon walk. Now, sometimes our tours offer options. So these are actual times where one could opt out of walking completely, or have some alternate activity that they may want to get involved with that isn't necessarily taking another, 2 to 3 mile walk. Often in the afternoon is when we include these, because we find that's when people prefer to take up on that. And it could be as simple as if you're not walking, we'll take the group that isn't walking back to the hotel. They get to relax. They can explore in town, whatever they'd like to do, in that free time. Always at the end of the day, we have some nice free time. We don't like to feel like you're on a regimented boot camp when you're with us. So when you finish the walking day and all these other great activities, you're going to then have this free time at the hotel, get cleaned up, maybe relax a little bit, have a drink by the pool, whatever it is that you'd like to do. And then we'll ease into either a group dinner, or of course, there's dinner on your own options, depending on the tour style and the itinerary. So on to self-guided walking vacations and what they include. They're going to include support. So we're not going to have the local guides right there walking. That defeats the purpose of it being self-guided. But they will have orientation by our local representatives. And those representatives will hover in the background, meaning that if there is something that's going on locally that they need to step in and assist with, they can do so. They're going to be right there in the same time zone as the guests and could act if needed. We also, beyond that, we have our 24/7 support that we offer to all of our guests. So traveling to and from, they can always reach someone that could assist them and, again, get the appropriate folks from our company involved. The lodging, we focus on those small inns and lodges, very carefully selected. And we come up with our primary lodging choices on each itinerary, but we do have a couple of well-vetted backup choices typically available on each of the lodging days, so that if you do request a guest and we're unable to get the stated lodging, we'll have a great backup, which is quite comparable. And we always review exactly what they're getting before the official confirmation on that. We move on. We're going to provide a route notebook. It's customized to that guest, so it's going to have their names on it, and all the dates are going to be filled in appropriately on there. And it's going to have all the walking routes, as well as dining options that they may want to engage in, other hints and recommendations as they go through each and every day. It's also going to have their itinerary. And that's what will coordinate with the next component, which is your transfers. So transfers would be those times when either the guest is going to be moved, or their luggage is going to be moved, or both of them are going to be moved. And that's all coordinated by our self-guided team within the itinerary to make it as smooth as possible. When the guests are out there walking, all they have to really bring is what they're using for that day. So most guests would opt for a small day pack, typical items like a sunblock and other things to make them comfortable for the day, maybe some layers depending on the destination and the weather. And then we, again, limit a little bit more on the dining, so we're not worried about the group component. But we do want to include some meals at times in the itinerary, and then, of course, breakfast each day. And it's really with the nature of it being very independent, we want that to carry forward to the dining. We don't want to have to, pre-select every meal along the way and then have the guests not being able to do what suits their taste best. And just for reference, we do these by request. So we have the big range of dates that we offer these tours. Ideally, if your guest is flexible, if you have, say they could go anytime within a 2-week period, you could say that, and we'll do our best to make it all work for them within that 2-week period. We always ask for, of course, their primary date and a backup date if they have it. But a 3 to 5 day turnaround on these, sometimes sooner. It all depends on where they're going and when that request goes in. So if we're looking for a hotel space in the UK or Ireland, and it's late on a Friday, that may take, more towards the 5-day type of routine. Where if it's Monday morning and, everything's still kind of operational on the other side of the pond, things tend to work a little bit quicker. We do have, again, all this are very expertly planned. The lodging is mentioned is very quaint, memorable. It is small, and that's why we have those backup lodges that we do use, because we don't want to, totally limit someone's ability to go on a vacation by not having, that first stated lodge in the itinerary. And contrary to that, we don't list all the lodging, because then we might have turn into where folks may try to select one lodge over another, and that's not really our goal there. It's really to provide some great lodging and not necessarily have it open to customizing the itinerary. We have those meals that we mentioned. The transfers will be in taxi. There are some unique transfers at times that may come into play, but that's all outlined in both the orientation as well as the documents that we provide to the guests. We also are working on some GPS type of guidance also that should be phased into many of the tours over the next year or so. We do like to say these are ideal for those independent guests. So if someone is really a group person, they like to be around the group, they prefer to travel that way, independent self-guided vacation may not be the best choice for them, but it's wonderful for small groups of people that know each other. We have a lot of, say, friends, maybe they're college friends or they live in the same neighborhood and there's 4 or 6 of them. They want to travel together, but they don't necessarily want anyone else traveling with them. It's a great choice for that. We have honeymooners that use these self-guided tours because of the independence of them. And of course, family groups are wonderful. It's what we find is we have some more adult children or young adult children traveling with their parents. And just like they do on a traditional family vacation, they're traveling together, typically on the parents' expense. And this just offers a great way that is so different than other options out there. We have our air concierge, so if you need any assistance gaining flights, we have some great pricing that we can extend. And really with that, the difference is that we're only providing the air, not the other components of our air packages. So on to air packages. We like to say this completes the one-stop shop for you and your clients. They include flights, so some incredible pricing, top quality carriers, upgrades and custom air is available. So if a guest wants to travel into one city and out of another that are totally unrelated to the tour that they're going on, we can arrange that. it would go in as a request. There is a small fee to do so, and we would coordinate that in and out. And then the guests, if they needed to travel from that point, say over to where the tour is going to generate from, they would be responsible, for handling that, or you could on their behalf. We then include transfers. So upon arrival, and then the departure transfer is included. We include a pre and a post hotel night on each tour. Now, we do have a couple of options that might go longer than that. And then we do have breakfast is always going to be included in our those hotel stays. And we do have the ability to extend these. So on each tour, and you'll find these on our web or in our print catalogs, you'll see what are called extensions. So these extend an additional 2 nights in most cases to either the front or the back or both. So if I was to take and say do a typical European package, my 6-night vacation, that would be the land tour, becomes 9 automatically with our air package, because we have a night on the airplane, we have a pre and a post hotel night. Then if I extend it, so say I take 2 nights on the front, 2 nights on the back, I'm now up to a 13-night vacation, which is a pretty nice, great way to travel. Those extra extended nights, with few exceptions, are going to be real independent, but all those transfers and, of course, the breakfast will be included, will be tied into that. Great way to travel with us. And if you look at our pricing, you'll often find that the air package add-on, so air with those pre and post hotel night transfers and breakfast, will be always usually about the same or less than a typical airline ticket would cost. So a little bit about who travels with us. You saw in the video kind of in living color of who might travel, but we are definitely 50 plus, educated, adventurous, carrying a decent income. Our tours we think are priced well, but we do have that income, 100 to 125,000 is our demo on that. We have about a third of our guests on walking travel solo. They enjoy being active. They're not super athletes. They don't need to be. They're just people that like to move and be active and see the world in a whole different way. All of our tours are clearly rated for difficulty. So it's often a lot of people come right out and say, hey, what's the mileage? And that's all they base it off of. It's not all miles. It's ups and downs. It's how frequent those are, how many days sustained are they, and that's all done as the tours are designed. And we do like people that are open-minded for learning about different cultures. When you look to find the right client, I always say look at different organizations. Again, I mentioned that you don't have to be a super athlete, but you'll find people that maybe they've walking into your office wearing, hey, I did this ride, or I did this walk, or they have Merrell hiking shoes on and they're walking around the mall or wherever you're located, and they might be a good candidate to drop this in their mind of a nice vacation option. Use our videos. Feel free to share those videos with your clients, and use the expertise of our tour consultants. So they will really help drill down the appropriate tour for your client. A lot of times people that have not traveled with us or done any type of tours like this will want to really know what they're getting into. And those tour consultants can, because they've been on the tour, because they have a raft of notes from everybody in our team that have been on the tour, they'll be able to really drill down and make sure that ultimately when your client gets on vacation, that they are on vacation and they're not on a struggle or really feeling like they made a bad choice in their vacation that year. So we do start our commissions 10%, and you only need to sign up for us once. Both brands are coordinated in the same system. And if you want to experience a tour, which we do have a lot of tour consultants that like to, travel advisors that like to, We offer 20% off the tour cost in lieu of any travel commission. That's off the big part of the land price of the tour. How you work with us, you can email us. We have info@ addresses. We have dedicated phones. You can see we've got one for VBT, one for Country Walkers. However, if you do dial one or the other, they're connected to the same phone system and we can direct you. And you will find a lot of our tour consultants will be able to help on both your biking and walking tour options. We do have online booking. Do recommend, if you've never traveled or worked with us before, that you take and consider calling us first. We'll get you all set up right. We'll make sure your account's in order, and then you can make the reservation and then continue to manage the booking online. Of course, I am always going to be available to you if you need any help. If you have clients even that you want me to talk to, I'd be happy to do so. If you have any opportunities within your office or your agency group, certainly let me know so we could talk about perhaps some preferred status, some other ways that we can engage to grow your business and your engagement with our products. We do have a travel agent web pages available on each website, right at the bottom for travel agents, loaded with all kinds of information as well. And I thank you very much, and we hope to be working with you very soon. If you ever have any questions, you know how to reach me, and it's been my pleasure to present on a product that I'm so fond of, Country Walkers. Thank you very much.